What's up, Bucs? Happy Monday. Bucs Report here. The aftermath. You got AJ Turn Up, and we got our main man, Slick, the British guy, no doubt, who's always fly. How y'all doing? This is another wonderful Monday. Bucs, it's Bucs ball. We got a lot to talk about still. We got to put away this rumor. We'll get to that, but we got another guest coming in. Continue to hit that subscribe button, spread the aftermath word, because this Bucs Report, baby. Bucs Report, Monday night, 9:30. And you're always open up for topics. Please send us go to Twitter and shoot us some ideas. We don't mind discussing Bucs stuff, even if it's if y'all
a little bit more outrageous, a little bit more out there.
We can do that.
We've had some wild stuff, some wild ideas on this show before, so it wouldn't get it's always worth discussing, even if it is blasphemous. There are people out there probably looking to get rid of Mike Evans. There are generally Bucs fans, and you think to yourself, but why? And it's this whole the thing I always don't get about. And I think it's pretty much in any sport, but it's bigger in American sports because there is the whole trade policy that's not really done in soccer or in rugby in the UK. So you usually sign a guy and he stays there, or he transfers, I guess. Yeah. And that's because someone overpays for him. So they'll go, oh, you got Tom Brady on your roster. How about we give you a shit ton of money and then we'll pay his salary? And you'll go, okay, you're going to pay me enough money to buy 2 players? Fine, I'll do that. Because they think that's what it is. That's kind of how it works, and you buy out their contract, so to speak, and give them some more money on top.
Amen. Yeah. So we might as well dive into that shit. Yeah, we're gonna look, guys. Jason Light said it best. He wouldn't even dream of giving away. I'm paraphrasing, but basically, to sum it up, Mike Evans ain't going nowhere. I wish I had the voice in for Arians, like he said when we was going when he told Levante, yes, ain't going nowhere. That's Mike Evans. Yes, ain't going nowhere. But
yeah,
forget it.
It is what it is, and I think this is these trade proposals, and there's no real proposed trade or anything because no one's actually been named. No figures, no compensation has been agreed. It's just maybe the Chiefs thought they might have. Who knows? The Chiefs might have reached out to the Buccaneers, or someone in their front office has said we are targeting someone like a Mike Evans-like player. Mm-hmm. Not Mike Evans, and someone hears Mike Evans that builds the story. Boom, 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 boom. We don't know the ins and outs of this. There's no reason. I mean, I wouldn't blame Mike if he wanted to go, but I don't think he does. That he's been Mr. Buccaneer since he's got here.
Yeah.
Why he's the first ever pick for Jason Light.
Yeah, and more than that, he has established a foundation here. He knows he's well loved among the real Buc fans and the Buc community. I don't think people realize. He's been to the top. He's been at the bottom and been to the top. And it's not that he's plummeting. He wouldn't stay here if he didn't believe in this team. I tell people this: when you want to trade someone so bad, now you're basically telling us his value is higher. Because I remember certain Bucs fans did not believe in Evans. They were like, he's good, but he's not that good. I'm like, wait a minute. So why would you want to trade him? What makes you? If you're telling me he's valuable. But also, this guy had Josh McCown. He had Mike Glennon. He had Jameis. Before Brady.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Ryan Fitz. He done had 6 quarterbacks throw to him.
Yep, BB before Brady.
And he still performs. So that's the kind of guy that you don't just throw away.
That's why he's allowed to be in my opinion, he's allowed to be in those conversations with the elite wide receivers, because people always turn around and go, oh, well, he's done all these great things with Brady. And it's like, check his stats before Brady. There's 9 years. Tom Brady's not been with the Buccaneers for 9 years.
No, he had bigger
numbers with the Buccaneers for 3.
He had bigger numbers.
He's had 6 years of what some people call considered trash quarterbacks, in all fairness.
Yep, exactly. And he had his best years with Jameis. So what does that tell you? I just think when it comes to the Brady effect, They're acting like that Brady and him were Randy Moss in '07. It's
I
not the
don't think he likes the way Mike Evans. I think he feels
exactly.
like
That's what I'm
it's too
saying. It
risky.
didn't work that way. It's not that their dynamics wasn't the same. I think the '07 season and let's just be real, Moss is a better receiver because he's much faster than Evans too. So I think Brady realized he could back then he was going to take that risk because Moss he could just outbeat everybody.
True.
Evans might have a Moss like size. He's bigger, but he has nowhere near the speed. He doesn't have that speed. Now, one thing that I will say that Evans will do that Moss ain't doing is going up the middle and taking big hits. That wasn't Moss's game. Nothing wrong with that, but Mike Evans can do all of that. I think people forget he does one hand catches. This to me, this is better than Odell's. He one hand catching and he took a hit from Keanu Neal.
Yeah.
That was a tougher catch to make than that shit that we saw on TV. I tell people this all the time. Narrative and the narrative of your
Yeah, because he just fell
organization.
down on the floor. Mike
Yes.
Evans took a lick.
Yeah, and the narrative of your franchise can really dictate about people's careers because if Mike Evans played for the Giants and he did that catch and he took that hit, they would applaud him, they would adore him, they would love him. But because the
Embellished.
Buccaneers have been known to be a sorry organization, and we're not as a big of a city as New York or Philly or something like that, or we're not a household name like the Packers. They just shit on
Yeah,
the
we're gonna
Bucks
pound our
players.
fist for national attention.
Yeah, national exactly. So, guys, Mike Evans isn't going anywhere. He has done the damn thing, and he will continue. Um, do not let the media make you feel that since Brady is gone, that all hope is lost. Because if we go back and really watch, but Brady from last season, Brady, like a lot of great players, it wasn't that their game was the same. Their name is just there. They were living off their name. You got to be real. Brady last season, for the most part, was living off of his name and who he was and his accolades. That's not.
I mean, he was just living in a different world. I think this whole
Mhm.
a lot of we've had the discussion. Rick's kind of brought it up before in our show. Brings up in his own show, and I've disagreed profusely on this about the whole well all players get divorced and when yeah but none of them don't have the they're still talking about Tom Brady and his divorce.
Yep.
Still, he's not even in the fucking league, and they're still talking about well Tom Brady's got this chick eyeing him up. Tom Brady's rumored to be with this
Yep.
Kim Kardashian at one moment. Then it was Reese Witherspoon. Every time a woman goes near him, it's going to be talked about. And it's the same for her because this isn't Dak Prescott and his girlfriend. And I have no idea who she's. This isn't even Brittany Mahomes and Mahone boy. This is Tom freaking Brady who goes to the Met Gala. Tom Brady, because of his supermodel wife, was able to go to a lot bigger, what's the better word, turn of phrase,
Prestigious.
more prestigious events than Mahomes is going to
Yeah.
because of who he was with. And
Yep.
he's
Who he
dating the
was.
supermodel of the world at one freaking point. Well, not dating, married to the supermodel of the world. So he's
Mhm.
going in, he's in these Met Galas and all these meeting all these major celebrities. His connect Tom Brady's connection base must be absolutely freaking insane for who the people he knows who he could call up or on speed dial for him or who he's friends with. He's been spotted having lunch and having double mandates with David Beckham and his daughter. So their daughters are coexisting together and are really good friends. So you know their worlds are all intertwined. People don't really understand. This wasn't just some guy with his wife that he's been with for a few years. This was every time and you did anything, it was her jujitsu boyfriend thing on the side or whatever, and maybe that was the reason. And everyone was trying to figure out why. I honestly, generally thought he was down in the dumps, and I think he was a broken man because of it. And I think he needed to step away from football.
Yeah, and Buck fans, we're not saying this is all on Brady. You know me. Everybody know. AJ Turnup did this on about Bucking time.
Yes,
I
sir.
still give the blame a lot of the blame to Leftwich, but don't let the media think that tell you now, oh, all of a sudden hope is lost. The Buccaneers have a hell of an offense still. And the Buccaneers, we already know, have a hell of a defense. The heroes of the story of the team last year was that defense. The first few weeks, that defense was elite level. In the middle of the week,
I don't think we would have won a game if that defense didn't play. You've got to think of the
exactly.
amount of games that they kept teams down to less than 20 points, and we fucking scrape wins with last minute field goals, last minute walk off touchdowns, last minute overtime wins was insane.
That's right. Yeah, and the hero and
Same
mind you,
thing. We didn't even score a point until like the last fucking 4 minutes of the game, and we
right,
win.
right, and that's and yes, Brady had his moments of greatness, but that wasn't enough. And that's why it's okay to say goodbye to a legend like Brady. We know
For
what
sure.
he has done for us. Buck fans, it's okay. But don't let the media lie. That's just their job. Their job is to shit on people because they, if anything, this is going to make the Bucs a more dangerous team because they really are out here saying that Bryce Young is just going to carry these Panthers out of just he. First of all, who is he going to throw to? The best receiver that they had is gone. We know this is why you have to really. I'd rather talk to people who actually study the game and know it a lot better, and they might not necessarily be on television. Television is for, like Slick said, fluff. You got to get the fluff for the average people who don't know the game to just go, well, Brady's not here, so the Bucs are going to be a 6-win team. When you have real people that say, let's slow it down.
If it was the Brady from the year before that, they're 100% right. If it was the Brady that we got last year, can anyone, hands on heart, me? Don't get me wrong, there was Brady magic, but it was Brady magic for 4 minutes. There's a
Right.
fucking free fall. Last I checked, it's a 4-quarter game.
Yep.
We got we washed out in the playoffs because we couldn't match the intensity of
Nope.
the Cowboys. The Cowboys were scoring at will. If that was quote unquote Mr. Tom Brady, we were doing back and forth on touchdowns, and the game would have been a lot tighter.
Facts. Well, if we would have had the Brady from
We had a guy
just
who was scared for his fucking life,
yep.
who was probably dwelling on shit that he didn't need to be dwelling on. And I'm not ever going to tell anyone what they can. Look, it's like mental health, right? I would say mental health's on a spectrum. So
Yeah.
what it is shit for you might not be shit for me. So let's say, for the sake of argument, and family member passes away, some people will be absolutely broken by it. Like, it will take them days, months, weeks, whatever, years to get over that shit. Some people get over it like, well, that's life. That's what it is. I'm very much that person. My mother died when I was very, very young, and a lot of people still to this day, even my wife says to me, I do not know how you process it so easily. And I went, I just live my life as tribute to her. So I get teary, but it's random. It's not on Mother's Day. It's not on her birthday. It's not this. So I always say people's mental health is on a spectrum, because my sister's same upbringing, same everything, same father, same everything. She's a bumbling mess. Every Mother's Day, every Christmas, every one of her birthdays, she's almost in tears over it. And I'm like, okay, well, and that's because mental health's on a spectrum. So what some people see as that they can just control, like deal with it, some people can't, and
That's
that's
right.
okay.
And you said the biggest thing you said earlier. We have a different world, ladies and gentlemen. You don't live the life of a Tom Brady. Yes, lavish, luxury, all that shit is wonderful. But when people are literally watching your move for the rest of your life, I know people. I can tell certain people personally. So yeah, for the people out there who
It's
talking,
got to suck. It's got to be suck
yeah,
being Tom Brady's
I'm
son.
yeah, I'm sorry, Slick. I'm saying this. I think I ain't gonna say their name, but I'm gonna tell them, yeah, my dude, there's no way in hell you get mad when people talk about certain things that you've done years ago. I know damn well if you were on the Brady level, that means literally every like you have on social media, every comment you make, everything that you say will be amplified times 10, and there's nothing you can do, and you're gonna have to accept it. You look, one like can fuck up your marriage. You could like a chick's pic, and she could just be wearing shoes, and you can comment, I like the shoes. People can twist that and say, yeah, he likes her shoes, but he's really looking at her body. You don't
Yeah,
understand how magnifying that it is. A player at his level, the standards of his greatness is second to none. He could have a game where he throws for 291 yards and 2 touchdowns, and someone will say Brady's slipping. I remember when Brady used to throw for 350 and four.
he was slipping before we bought him. Before we
Exactly.
bought him to Tampa, he was considered a fucking mess.
Yes, he was over the hill. He was over the edge because I was very skeptical at first, but then a good friend of mine, Jared, shout out to him, good friend of mine, and then another two good friends of mine said, "Hey, let me ask you this, AJ." I said, "What's up?" They said, "Go look at what he was throwing to." Then I went back and did my research, and I said, "Oh,
Because
you're right.
you're
He
not a
didn't
fan of
have
that team, so
anything."
you don't know their personality. You looked at him and went,
Yep.
good offensive line,
Mm-hmm.
good running back, no tight end, no receivers.
No receivers.
How can someone who's known for passing the ball have a really good how can they be a good passer of the football if they have no name wide receivers that did nothing? And then you look at what that they caught or what they got. He lost everything when he was in New England.
Exactly, and
If he
that's
had
what. Yep.
Hogan or he had those other guys that his skinny white boys that he loves so much, those skinny
Yeah.
short white boys he likes so much,
Yeah.
he'd be fine. He'd have been probably absolutely flying because he knows how to get the ball to those guys. When
Mm-hmm.
they're gone, you've got to kind of do it all. But he came to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which was just full of receiving time. We were a quarterback away. The whole phrase, "Oh, they're just a quarterback away." We really were,
We really
and the
were.
proof is in the pudding when it comes to Tom Brady because we were a quarterback. You gave us a franchise quarterback. We turned it, and we turned it good because we got 2 super amazing years out of it. We got a Super Bowl year out of it, and we had a really good year. That we deserved the Super Bowl. I'd say we deserved it more in that year than we did the year before.
I
But
agree.
I'll take what I get.
I agree. I think it was scary. That second year was the most lethal Bucks offense we have ever seen. I tell people,
For sure,
and
for sure. It's
AB,
historic.
Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Gronk, as you said, historic. You weren't beating that. If they would have, if things would have been more eternally better, because we'll never know about that until a couple of years from now. But I feel like it was more of an eternal issue between the coaching staff and the players. But can you imagine if AB never walks out the stadium against the Jets? If that shit doesn't happen, I say this with full confidence, like the Bucks would have ran through the playoffs again, and it'd have been easier. And if they would have played the Bengals in the playoff in the Super Bowl,
Oh yeah,
it
yeah,
wouldn't have been close. I think the Bucks would have embarrassed Joe Burrow and them
yeah.
because a lot of
And
people
here's
forget.
and that's the embarrassing thing here
Yeah,
is that AB could have had 2 rings,
if he would have
and
just shut
he's
the fuck.
walking. And no offense, he's walking into the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah,
Which is
no,
for his accolades already.
he's
Like
back.
he's got.
He's moonwalking into the Hall of Fame with that. All sins would be forgiven. I say this. We talk about this again. You talked about the Bucks offense. Buck fans, we remember that damn defense that was killing in the playoffs. The Super Bowl run, our defense in the playoffs just turned to another level. And that Saints game, that should be one of them historical moments, 30 for 30, because that was literally a
Oh,
battle.
that whole Super Bowl run will be 30 for 30
Right.
because
That was a
it's COVID. It's a lot of
that was
different
our
things.
Super Bowl right there. I at that moment when we beat the fucking Saints, I said, I don't care if we lose this season. We put Drew Brees out. The simple fact that his last pass was an interception from Mike Edwards from the Buccaneers. I love that shit. Because Saints fans used to dog us about, yeah, we used to run y'all. I'm like, yeah, but we whoop your ass when it counts. The way the Saints talk to us is how we used to talk to the Eagles. Yeah, y'all beat us back in the day. We whooped your ass when it counts. Look, put it this way: we retired 2 franchises that day. We retired the vet, and then we retired Breeze. So the
But the,
Bucks, look, when we get there, we get there. But yes, the defense, that defense was hungry. But as you said before, plenty of times, the second and third year injuries did plague the Bucks heavily. But I still think we had enough firepower. If AB doesn't walk out of that game, that Bucks team, you see, we took care of the Eagles with ease. We made the guy
yeah.
that they the Hurts, the guy that everybody loves. It's like, look, we embarrassed him. And then we still, despite Tristan Wirfs not being in the game, we gave the Rams a run for their money. The whole thing was, honestly, what killed us was Bowles being too over aggressive. If Bowles plays prevent,
I get what you're saying, but I wouldn't just say it was just that because you got to think that defense got us to where we were.
that's
Because if it
true.
weren't for that fucking defense, dude, we were getting shredded. I think it was Winfield fumble right towards the end of the half. They didn't stick that in. The Browns stick that in. It was gone, and it was going to be a blowout. It was going to be blowout city because there's no way coming back from it. But he strips the ball, stops it. We go into the halftime, and the defense keeps giving Tom Brady short fields, and we start scoring. We start doing this, and it goes. So as much as you can put it on it, but that's like one thing that you could say, yeah, okay, you made a mistake there, and it did. In fairness, it did cost the game because the final. It's technically the what's the word, penultimate play of the game because the play
Yeah,
before the end of the game, which the play is the kick, but it's the last meaningful play of the game in the sense of
yeah,
offense versus defense.
No, you're right. No,
It is what it is. It's like I remember seeing that argument. It's like everyone's like, "Oh, but our offense," and I was like, "You can put it on the offense because the offense didn't score shit until until the second half." Yeah, Tom Brady worrying about his cut lip and what have you, and I completely agree that what was wrong, it was wrong and what have you. But he's burning time, he's wasting time. It's like if you don't get what you want, instead of screaming at them, you've got to get fucking going because no one's waiting for you.
Yeah, the offense just did piss poor. They did piss poor adjusting. When Wirfs was gone, the player that killed the Bucs in the game was Von Miller. We all know that. Most people don't realize Von Miller took over that game. Aaron Donald wasn't doing shit until Von Miller took over. When Wirfs was gone, it was over. You could clearly see whatever side Von Miller was on, he abused. This is where I was thinking, and I kept cussing at the screen like Arians, chip, chip, chip. You need the chip. They were hardly chipping. And it was frustrating because you should have already known when you went into that game without Wirfs. You flood that side because you know what's going to happen. We know this, but anyway, Bucs. If the drama didn't like my man Ben Cornett said, you are right. The drama and injury, yes,
It's
yes.
just too much going on.
Yep, Doug's bugged themselves a big hole against the Rams. Came back to win it. Yeah. It was just meant to be, but yeah, it
No,
could have been
I disagree with that because they were in position
right.
to win it. They weren't far off. It was that one play that kind of killed the game. If that one play doesn't happen,
The
the
Bucs win. I think the Bucs win that game because I'm gonna tell you this: the momentum shifted to the Bucs' favor
for sure.
so heavily when Ramsey got abused by Mike Evans. I'm not gonna lie, Buck fans. We gotta do a tally about this. Slick, did Mike Evans break Ramsey? Because literally after that next season, Ramsey was getting burnt by every fucking body. Remember the Stephon Diggs, the opening season, Stephon played with him. He beat him the same way Evans did. Evans, that game showed like I think a lot of people were like, certain people were like, damn, okay. I can see what
That's
AJ.
what I think. If that would have been, if we would have won that game, that would be one of those like if Mike Evans does go to the Hall of Fame, that would be one of his signature plays because it was like we got to understand just how good the Rams were that season.
Yeah.
They were the highest scoring offense. We were the second highest scoring offense.
Yep.
It was just absolutely fucking insane of just how good those two teams were. And in a sense, what we kind of were expecting was going to be this shootout between the two quarterbacks,
Yeah.
and then someone's defense had to was going to what I thought was going to be. It was going to be like literally back and forth, back and forth. We're going to get to the fourth quarter. Somebody is going to make a play to let the one team go in front and finish off the game.
Yeah.
Or like a mega defensive lapse and it's a stowaway touchdown or something like that, which is kind of like what kind of happened, but
right.
It wasn't the throw fest or like the offensive onslaught that I thought it was going to be. But no, I don't think it was meant. The fact that it wasn't meant to be, I think we called the wrong defense for sure.
Yeah, we just went to the wrong defense. Again, we win that game. The Bucs blow. I still think the Bucs were still the better team than the Rams. I just think that the defense would have had their way against Burrow, and Burrow's offense and then wouldn't have been able to keep up with us. I don't get me twisted. Don't get it twisted, but about people out there. Jamar Chase is a stud. He sure is. But I'm here to tell you guys, don't get it twisted. He's not Mike Evans. I don't give a damn about Joe Burrow is the golden guy, and that's an underdog team. But Jamar hasn't done enough. Slick says it best. Give me 10 years. Give me 10. You got to give me at least 7 to 10 years. And I agree, Slick.
I need to see career progression.
Yes,
and
because
don't get me wrong, he's elite, but that was his rookie. That was his rookie? That was his rookie season, right?
Year. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd say
shit like
facing him now would be difficult because he's got a bit more. He's got a bit more refined. He's got a bit more root polished. He's refined his game more.
Yes.
But in that particular season, yeah, experienced cornerbacks probably could have had a bit more. Our cornerbacks could have had, eaten a little bit and enjoyed.
No. I think Antoine and them would have dogged him because if Carlton and Antoine just double him, you take that away, and Burrow would have tried to be the hero, but you have a Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul of that season, they would have had their way. Put it this way, the Bucs would have. I think the Bucs would have beaten that team at least by 20. It wouldn't have been close. Oh yeah, no, the Bucs that Bucs that second run, they really put everything they had into it. But like Ben and then we were all talking about,
Too much
turmoil
drama, too
is
much
what
off-field shit.
yeah, off-field shit killed us. And that off-field shit poured into the third season because as you said, Tom Brady had his things. So people don't tell me that you can handle what that guy can. Everybody has their breaking point. Most people would go insane if the media was up your ass the way Brady is. I don't want that kind of I don't mind having fame, but not that kind of fame where you literally decipher everything I say. When if I say the sky is blue, then all of a sudden, now am I an elitist? Am I a Marxist? Am I a communist? Am I a socialist just because I said that? I can't do it. So, guys, when people say, "Oh, people go through that every day," yeah, people. Tom Brady's not in that world. We just talked about it. Slick just said this man Brady could probably call the fucking LeBron James if he wanted to, and it
Easy.
would be just like that. He would
Snoop
just say,
Dogg.
"I want to
All
let
these
me
people.
call him." He could call um any soccer star in the world, Ronaldo, like the tip of the hat.
And
He
then let's talk about the pilot. He supposedly had a friendship with Trump. We don't know how true, how big of a relation.
right.
I think that got blown out of proportion. But that's clearly someone who'd still take a phone call from Tom Brady,
Exactly.
and
And
that's a
he
fucking ex-president.
right. And he could call anybody that he wants. Anything is at his disposal. But
Bob
that
Kraft.
also right. But that also goes with the territory of criticism. And you can't because if Brady makes the wrong call, now is Brady getting too much power? If you mess that up, so guys, this third season shows us why we needed to have a cleanse. This is, I honestly think this is the season. This
This is
couldn't
our
have
juice
come,
cleanse.
yeah. This couldn't have come a better
Not that I
time.
believe in those, but
This is to me is going to be the humbling season where we get back to the hunger basis of you know what we rode that mountaintop where people thought we were the shit. Now they think we are some shit. So now it's time for us to come back with that same fire, put the ego aside, and let's get some damn wins. Let's be that dark horse dangerous team. And I think the Bucs can. We always talk about the schedule. And the guys for the Bucs, if you missed that, go back to our previous shows.
so,
We
yeah.
talk about it all the time. And when we look at
And we'll
this
probably
schedule,
talk about it again. I
yeah,
guarantee you.
I love talking about it because I love how people are like, they don't, when they look at the schedule and I break it down and I show them what this team
Our
is,
schedule ain't bad.
they're like, oh, this is actually not bad for the Bucs. I'm like, yeah, it ain't like the last two schedules where it was like, that's a little tough. Like, no, Eagles are
Absolutely.
the Eagles and 49ers and are in the Bills. Three teams are those are our biggest challenges that I see
The
so far.
biggest challenges. And
That's
then you've got like your Minnesota, you don't know what's going on with. Jags, that you need to see more, but they are a playoff team, so they're one of those 50-50 teams. And then the Lions are also quite a talented roster, but that's only five. Was that 5, 6 teams?
yep,
Five.
5 games. So yeah,
So you
hey,
turn the others into wins, you're in the
right,
playoffs. Done. I mean,
exactly.
obviously, you're going to lose one or two of the games in the division, but like I said, if you split the division wins,
Yep,
it's a very possible. It's not impossible. But just to finish up on this Mike Evans
yep.
spiel of him
Mm-hmm.
coming away. Here's my question to you:
What's up?
if you had to get rid of Mike Evans and you have no choice, what's your asking price?
My asking price is still a second and a third, or if I can't get a second, I need a third and another right tackle or left tackle.
Okay, I'm going to be brutally honest. If I, and I don't think I think the best we're going to get is a would be a third. Um, you are not going to get another Mike Evans with a third unless you draft extremely smart. Like,
Yep.
yeah, I know that Chris Godwin was a low round pick. I get that, but those aren't exactly gimmies. And there hasn't been anybody who's replicated what Mike Evans has done.
Nope.
Like,
No.
he's the first person to do it. When you're the first person to do something, you're unprecedented in what you do. Now, could a Jamar Chase or somebody catch him? Potentially, but time still is on Mike Evans' side. Mike Evans could retire on 10 years, and it would probably still take Jamar Chase another 7 years to catch up to Mike Evans, and he has to go never have an injury enough, an early injury or any setbacks, because that's one of the things that people don't get with Mike Evans. As much as he's a little, like, someone said he was old, and I went, he's 29 years old. He's 29 years old, because someone was like, oh, the Chiefs won't touch him because he's too old. And I'm like, you make out like he's like a 32-year-old wide receiver. He really isn't. But I don't think the Chiefs are interested in him for one reason only. They could have got Odell Beckham Jr. if they wanted to. And I'm not saying Odell Beckham Jr. and him are the same person, but one of them brings a little bit more razzle-dazzle flash if you sign him. Mike Evans is slept on, in all fairness, in the league. So I think you gain more publicity by getting, and you don't have to trade anything to get a guy. No. So if they obviously value they are obviously evaluating talent around the league. If they are genuinely interested in Mike Evans, they value him over Odell Beckham. That's how I see it. Yeah. Because if they didn't, they'd get Beckham, and they could have. They could have signed him. No problem. They could have got it done. Don't have to give up anything to get him. Maybe with Mahomes down his ear and a few choice words and go into a prestigious franchise because they are a fucking powerhouse team, he would have probably taken less. Because he's going to have a guy who's going to give him the rock. That's a fact. There's no guarantee what Lamar's going to do now. He's got a bona fide number. I wouldn't even say a bona fide number one, a bona fide number two. Yeah. Bona fide number two masquerading as number one. Right. But in all fairness, he's a talented wide receiver. We don't know but there's a lot of question marks with him. You have no question marks with Mike Evans. Fit, healthy. He gets soft tissue injuries that puts him out for a few plays. Maximum, you're going to lose a game or two out of him. Other than that, you are not going to. He's not had reconstructive surgery on anything, as far as I'm aware, which is massive when you're stacking a career that Mike Evans is. So I don't see it happening.
I don't either.
I think it's kind of ludicrous, really, to be honest.
He makes it work. He makes it work with whatever quarterback too. I've never
for sure, and I think he would thrive. He would definitely thrive if he went to Kansas City. I just don't think he's interested.
No, not at all.
He's interested. I don't think the Bucs are interested. And one of the things I read when I was reading this is like, oh, Buccaneers could get some draft compensation. Well, the draft's ended. We're not getting anybody else, which means you're basically saying, let's have a losing season. Because if you give out Mike Evans to somebody else and you go, oh, they're going to give us a third round, a high, let's say they give us a second round pick, yeah? Everyone's happy to hunky-dory. That second round pick isn't going to perform until 2024.
Facts. Right.
He ain't doing nothing. So you may as well just say, look, we'll give you Mike Evans, but we'll give you him next year. Because that's what I'm going to do. It makes literally no sense to deal out a guy before your season starts.
Yeah, no.
Even the Buccaneers have got to have the opinion, and this is why I said I didn't get around to it before, but I'm going to hit on it again, or try and get there this time, because we ended up discussing a few other things. Not Bucs fans, football fans, always try and always criticize players that leave, like, for example, Leonard Fournette is a good example. Like, who was the guy that we had?
Michael Bennett?
Yeah, Michael Bennett, maybe. Jerry McCoy, not so much. But when big brand name players leave. Sorry?
LeGarrette Blount?
LeGarrette Blount? Potentially, but he wasn't playing at a high end tier at that point. But it's irrelevant. I'll get when a player is a high end player and you think the juice is running out. Fans always want to go, oh, we better trade him because we want to get something for him, and that's something that the Patriots have been very good of showing how this super talented, usually a running back, usually a fucking running back because they tend to go through them like no one's business. Never draft in your fantasy team a Patriots running back because they will let you down. They don't trust them, and they rotate them like no one's business. Agreed. Anyway, they're very good at getting juice out of the tank. And oh wow, that player is so good. LeGarrette Blount is a prime example of a Patriot player that went from a superstar to a pumpkin. Yeah, no knock on him. He's obviously a talented dude, but they're very good at knowing when it's almost like they have like a key on everyone's expiration date.
Mm-hmm.
And that is part of the why everyone thought Brady was washed up. They didn't do anything about Brady. So everyone's like, oh, Bill Belichick's this like genius that knows when players' time's done. So as soon as Bill Belichick said he was done with Tom Brady, or they couldn't get the deal done, or whatever, or the fallout, whatever, people went, that's it. Tom Brady's done because Bill Belichick says so. Because Bill
Mm-hmm.
Belichick for that time is turned around and went, how many players did he give out, like deal out to other people that turned into straight up trash when they got there? There's countless ones. All
Mm-hmm.
those wide receivers that Tom Brady threw to and made names struggled when they went to other teams.
Yep.
Vince Wilfork had, I think, maybe one good year with the Houston Texans, and then he fizzled out.
Yeah.
It's all people were like he had this mad idea. So football fans always want to try and get something out of a player. However, they're the first to complain when a high-end player goes, I want to trade.
Yep.
I want to go to this team. And or they don't want to re-sign. And the player I was thinking of is a linebacker that went to LSU, and it's not the current one that we got, and it's not Kendall Beckwith, it's Quan
Quan
Alexander.
Alexander.
Quan Alexander wanted way too much money, and we didn't want to sign it, and people were fucking pissed. And I was like, I'm fine with him doing that because that's his choice. That like he wants to get paid. You're going to be one of two players. You're going to be a player that wants to be in the team, or you want to be a player that wants to maximize every single cent they get. And I don't mind it either way. Loyalty, you can't have loyalty in two different ways. You can't turn around and go, you need to be loyal to us for the team, die for the team. And then in the next breath be like, what if we traded him?
Yeah.
That's not loyalty. You can't have it both ways. You can't turn around and say, we want Mike Evans forever, and then Mike Evans has a dip year or something like that, and maybe he scrapes 1,000 yards but has very little touchdowns or what have you.
Right. Now
Everyone's,
you gotta go.
oh, let's trade him. And it's like, well, hang on. Last year you were talking about re-signing him forever, and he should have a fucking statue. Like,
Right.
you can't have it both ways.
No, I agree. I do agree with what you're saying. You're right. And a guy like him, he produces. We've already learned this. When we let go of Derrick Brooks, that hurt the team for a very long time. Levante David is literally is what I call the redemption for the Bucs linebacker because we went through the Geno Hayes era. We went through the Barrett Ruud era. You don't cut people unless you have someone that can replace them. You're not
Absolutely.
finding a Mike Evans to replace. Good luck, because then if you pick the wrong person, now you're stuck. Now you're back to square one again. And if
And Kansas City, and he's getting fucking Super, because believe you me, Kansas City's going to another Super Bowl in the next 5 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
The chances are very high that they're going. They're probably odds-on favorite to go again.
Yeah. Oh, if Mike Evans
goes Mike Evans there as well.
If Mike Evans goes there to the Chiefs, I can say this with guarantee. They're winning back to back. They'd go to 3 straight Super Bowls. Here's why.
They convert 2 of them.
Yeah, they'd win all 3. They'd win this season. Oh, because here's the thing. Evans, you put Evans there, now you're adding more years to Kelsey.
Yeah. I completely agree. And
it would damn near not be fair because now Andy Reid, being the guy he is, he could put them 2 on the outside. They could draft the speedy receiver, and Mahomes will have his way. That's how valuable Mike Evans is, because you said it. He's healthy. Another thing, Evans can stay healthy. So when he stays healthy,
you're getting him for 4 years minimum.
Yeah.
You're gonna get him for his 13th year, and this whole notion of him slowing down. And we've already discussed that we believe the scheme wasn't working. The quarterback wasn't fitting the scheme very well. No. And how many times did you see Mike Evans look over his shoulder while a pass was behind him and it hit the dirt?
How many times you see him look up and he was beating his receiver?
Or was like down here, like clutching at the floor to try and catch a ball that should really be, most people tend to put Mike Evans balls up here.
Or you throw it to the man in stride. One thing I did love that Fitzpatrick and Jameis did for the most part. They made him go for it. Like the game that Fitzpatrick, that magic game in New Orleans.
Oh, that was a great game.
When he burnt Lattimore's punk ass, people don't realize Fitzmagic did it in stride. He knew Evans. He was like, this is what's best going to suit him. He caught it in stride and burnt Lattimore, and Lattimore fell. That's, to me, the best signature thing that Evans did of embarrassing him. But like you said, Evans is used to doing this or this,
and just do and then hugging it in and then going to ground. So he goes,
stop doing shit where he gets to do this, and
There was a time where Bucs fans were really pissed that his yak was really, really bad, yards after catch. And it's like, well, it is because those are the types of balls he comes with. He comes down with those balls where he's fly. You can't catch the ball, land on your 2 feet, turn around, and continue running. Someone's going to eat you. So you may as well just grab the ball, bring it down. Oh, guess what? He doesn't have any major injury issues. Might be why.
Yep.
You go looking for contact. Guess what? 9 times out of 10, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
Someone want to give it to you.
That's why people who don't play the game, I tell them, shut the hell up. So you think when you just catch the ball, these machine guys that run these 4-3s and 4-4s, they're not going to be coming right after you. Oh yeah, good luck. Catch the ball and turn if you want to. You won't get blown up.
My favorite touchdown of Mike Evans actually is the one. Yeah. I can't remember which year it was, but I think it was the second year with Brady. He catches it and he's just fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting all the way, like really bossing his way to the and then he finally gets in, like slips in, and I was like, that was good because it just shows determination. And
yes, that was the Rams.
We all like that.
That was against the Rams. That was his best touchdown ever because he broke that shit and he doesn't like Ramsey. There are 2 corners that he don't like. We know Lattimore is number 1, but he don't like Ramsey. One of my other favorite catches is the 2020 season when Brady threw it and they were going against the Chargers, and Evans made that adjusting catch. The ball was really over his head too much, and he just shifted his arms and his body and caught it.
Contorts it.
And then took a shot, took a big shot and spent. Guys, we can be on. Me and Slick can be on here for hours and talk about the glory and the greatness of Mike Evans.
You might like this.
What's up?
Glory of Mike Evans. Davante Adams has come out and given his rankings for wide receivers, his top guys, so to speak.
Yeah.
So number 1 is himself.
Of course.
Number 2 is Justin Jefferson. Number 3 is Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
Or 2B, as he calls him on this. I don't know why it's like that. I don't know why you can't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but hey, he's special. Number 3 or 4 is Stephon Diggs. Calvin Ridley, surprisingly, is number 4, and Mike Evans is his number 6 or 5B. That's wide out game, checking wide out game. No Jamar Chase.
Exactly.
CeeDee Lamb's below him because CeeDee Lamb's next. I don't rate CeeDee Lamb. I actually rate Jamar Chase over CeeDee Lamb.
I agree. I think CeeDee Lamb is a B average receiver, but
he's a great slot receiver, and he will be terrific, but he'll never be I think you can put Mike Evans in slot and he'll thrive. I think you take Chris Godwin and you can put him anywhere and he will thrive. But CeeDee Lamb can only thrive in the front slot.
Yeah, well, and then he fucking got butterfingers when the game's on the line. He literally is like, and he messes up. So I think Jamar. I say this: Jamar had a great season, but when you pair him with a guy like Joe Burrow, that helps. That helps a lot because Burrow's going to give him the ball. And I told everybody Justin Jefferson was going to be a star. But he's another one. One thing that Evans never got the chance to be, the closest he had is with Winston. All those other receivers that you just mentioned, they're high volume receivers, and the quarterbacks throw it to them on a.
Obviously, until
Devontae had Aaron Rodgers.
Justin Jefferson is the only one I would say doesn't, but his quarterback's still a very good thrower of the football. He's still we all mock that dude.
Yeah.
But he's still he's not a bad fantasy choice. He's a good fantasy choice.
Yeah,
Kirk Cousins is a good fantasy choice. Just don't start him on the fucking game.
And he's still and well, here's the thing: Justin Jefferson is always going to be the number 1 priority. So they're going to force the ball to him no matter what. we can see for the past 3 years, Evans was never going to be the number one priority.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. When Winston and Evans were here, and you can see Winston loved him some Evans. He's throwing him the rock. It's not a coincidence that one season Evans had 1,500 yards. When you are the priority, they're going to make it work. So can you imagine if Evans had one quarterback that can have that connection? Devontae had Aaron Rodgers. He was supposed if you were supposed to be good. If he was,
none of these guys are non-Pro Bowl. Like their quarterbacks are not non-Pro Bowl. The only one you could say is Calvin Ridley, and now he's technically going to a team that has a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Right, and you nailed it. I'm glad you said that. Everybody every other receiver, they had a Pro Bowl quarterback or someone who can get you there. No shit, they're supposed to. I mean, can you imagine? Let's just think of it this. Can you imagine?
Let's say play even nicer. Let's go a little bit harder because you can get a Pro Bowl and not go to the playoffs. Every single one of these guys has got a playoff winning level quarterback.
Mm-hmm. And that's all Evans ever wanted. If Evans could have had Brady, imagine if Evans had Brady from 2016 to the present.
Yeah. Dude, I saw a thing where it showed all the touchdowns that Tom Brady's thrown. He only needed if he would have thrown Mike Evans 11 touchdowns, Mike Evans would have been the fourth most touchdown thrown receiver in Tom Brady's career.
And that's a lot.
More than Moss or more. I'll see if I can find it one day. And
thank you. That's incredible. Honestly. Yeah. And again, a lot of people don't realize if Evans had a quarterback that level, again, 2016 Brady to now, Evans probably would literally have the most touchdowns in the NFL, like for a receiver by far.
And he's only second.
Yep, he's only second.
He's only second. And you know what I mean? It's not like it's insane. And I do think that people talk about like how he's getting older and what have you, and maybe he's lost a step. I disagree with that. But if you want him to gain a step or continue on a little bit longer, I've heard people say the whole tight end thing, and I'm not saying that. But I've also said, and I will go on heart in saying this, I believe that Travis Kelce is the greatest slot receiver in football. And I've said that. Me and you both agree on it. He doesn't play the tight end position, but that's what the tight end position is in this day and age, right? Gronk is probably the last. There might be one or two more in the league, but the last true beast of a pure tight end. He wasn't always slotted out. He was occasionally, but not as much as say you.
Nowhere near as Kelce. No,
exactly. But if you can get that kind of like get him to run those kind of routes, you might get a little bit more length in Mike Evans' career because he can play the slot.
I think Evans is going to be fine. I think Evans actually is going to get better because I think Evans will thrive. A guy like Evans will thrive more statistically speaking with a mobile quarterback because Evans is a guy that can be good on someone who can ad-lib. An ad-lib quarterback, it's not a coincidence that his numbers were better with an ad-lib quarterback in Winston.
Mm-hmm.
If Baker does his thing, roll out, does things spontaneous, that's where Evans is going to thrive because then Baker can chalk that shit up and Evans is gonna come down with it. You can't have a traditional pocket QB if Evans is going to be your main priority because then that quarterback is not going to take those chances. So I think Evans is going to be just fine. I've seen him in the OTAs. He's looking good. I think he's going to be a lot better. This is a hot take. I see Evans getting between 12 to 1,400 yards this season. And I say that because they're going to force him.
Baker's got the arm to get it there. So if it's Baker in, I honestly believe that can happen. If it's Traskin, I'm a little bit more curious because I don't know Trask's arm.
I'd say 1,100 if Trask is there because he's not going to take the big risk. But Evans will still be an 1,000-yard receiver. But if Baker's there, I'm telling you, 12 to 1,400, and he'll have between 10 to 13 touchdowns. 10 to 13.
I can believe it.
10 to 13. I'm stamping that right now because another thing, they're going to get that run. If Canals does it right, that run game is going to get better, more consistent. It's not going to be elite, but it will be just enough to where if the Bucs now defense have to honor the Bucs run game for once and actually respect the shit, Evans can eat because now they can say, well, shit, we actually don't know what they're doing. Oh, they're not doing the HB counter. Damn it. Where is Leftwich when you need him? Because if we start getting this offense clicking, they'd be like, damn it, Leftwich, go back to the Bucs, man. We missed when y'all were predictable. Go back. We know you're good. We know you guys are gonna run 6 yards, even though it's 3rd and 10. We know all you're gonna do is a straight out route. Come on.
Okay, so touchdown Tommy has thrown 90 touchdowns to Rob Gronkowski.
Damn.
He has thrown 39 touchdowns to Randy Moss. That's number 2. 36 touchdowns to Julian Edelman. 34 touchdowns to Wes Welker. 26 touchdowns to our Mike Evans. In 3 years.
Damn.
3 years.
Guys.
And last year was a down year.
Exactly.
It was a down year. If he would have got the same production that he's got in the last few years, I'd say he's just, hang on, it's another 6. So he would be just behind Wes Welker. If he would have had Tom Brady for 5 years, I'd say he's behind Rob Gronkowski, but not far off.
I'd say he'd be 10 touchdowns behind. That's it. 10 touchdowns. But because I tell people, if the Bucs would have got 2016 Brady from here on out, it'd be lights out. The Bucs would have 3 Super Bowls with him. They'd have at least 3. So again, with this Mike Evans thing, guys, Mike Evans is real good, but in football, this isn't like basketball. You have to have a team in sync. When the guy, he can't throw it to himself and catch it. He needs a consistent. Do you know how many wide receivers in the history of the NFL had shitty careers because their quarterback was garbage? That's why the quarterback position is the most important, because that makes and breaks everybody else. It does.
I just want to touch on this, AJ.
What's up?
This is a quote from Davante Adams. Mike is the most consistent wide receiver. And that shouldn't make nobody mad. If people are mad about that, then you don't respect somebody coming out and doing it since we came into the league together. This man ain't not touched the 1,000-yard rack since he's been in the league. And there is absolutely nothing you can say about that. Respecting the game.
Shout out to Davante. Davante, shout out to you. And
well, I think the thing is, when you're competing against each other, like obviously you're always going to rate. No one's going to like when someone says, "Oh, where do you rate yourself as a league?" You definitely got to rate yourself in the top 5. You've got to put yourself in there, unless you are like, if your numbers are close to it, like even if you're touching it or in cent level, you can say, "Oh, I see myself as a top 5 wide receiver in this league." Mm-hmm. You're not going to turn around and say, "Oh, I'm straight up trash." But then there are other people around you that you respect the game of, and you're like, "Yeah, there's a reason why that guy's done what he's done." Yeah. Like no one, you can't have a freak occurrence and become the only player in NFL history to have. Is it 9 now, or is it 8?
9. Wait a minute. 9. Only, and think about it. The great Jerry Rice didn't do that. Randy Moss didn't do that. Terrell Owens didn't do that. Calvin Johnson didn't do that. Art Monk, Michael Irvin, Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison. Think of all the legends that I just mentioned that are receivers that we all know.
I can't agree
Mike
more.
Evans did it, though. This is why you have to give him his props. And most of those other receivers I told you had far better quarterbacks for their careers. Far better. Jerry Rice, enough said. Come on. Randy Moss, enough said.
I just want him to get the decade, because that's.
I do too. He deserves to be the decade. And it's just there are things that Evans do that nobody else can do. Evans is not the best route runner. We all have said that. Nobody has said that he runs routes perfect. He's an average to maybe above average in route running at the most.
I would say it's not just route running. It's there's certain routes he kills. Like he's my philosophy on Mike Evans is Mike Evans isn't the best route runner. What he is the best route runner of the routes that he runs.
Yep.
There's no one who runs the route tree that he runs, which is a little bit more limited in comparison to say like a Jamar Chase or a Tyreek Hill's really come on his route tree. I would like to have seen Mike Evans take Tyreek Hill because Tyreek Hill just had one note, it was deep, and that was it. Now
Right.
he's got a bit more of a varied thing. I was kind of hoping that you could get a bit more, but hey, I'll take what I can get. Mike Evans' route tree is limited, but he is elite at doing that route tree.
Yep.
And I
Mm-hmm.
don't think there's many players in the league that can touch it.
No, and that's why I love how people, we were just talking about Tyreek Hill. To me, Tyreek Hill is just a more flashier AFC Deshaun Jackson. Hear me out, because people were like, "Oh no," I said Deshaun, when Deshaun first got in the league, his speed was absolute and elite as well. We forget, but one thing about a lot of speed receivers, when they lose that step, they become very obsolete because a lot of them don't work on their craft. Now, and then especially if they don't have a good quarterback. Tyreek Hill just left fucking Mahomes, the best quarterback in this game. I like Tua, but Tua damn sure ain't no Mahomes. What's
And there's
going
no
to happen?
guarantee that Tua is going to be around for the foreseeable future.
Amen. And then what if he gets a bum ass quarterback that can't get him to those routes? And
He's going to
eventually,
demand a trade. And
and the
that's the
man,
beauty. And then here's another thing that
yep,
people forget about Mike Evans. How much media coverage of him bitching about he doesn't get this and he doesn't get that and he doesn't get this and he doesn't get that and he has to share this and he has to share that and he does not paid enough and you don't hear nothing, not a peep. The only thing that you can criticize Mike Evans on is he's a fiery dude that always comes to his quarterback and he does not like Marshawn Lattimore. That is it. And it's
yep,
not the point of like it's not the case of him that they just don't like each other or anything like that. It's more of a case of they go at it. They know
yep.
when they hit that field, they go at it, and they like it. From what I've heard, that he was on a podcast with two Saints players. I'm just trying Cameron Jordan and
Yeah,
who
I
was
know
the
you're
running back
talking
there for they had for a while.
about Nakamara.
No, one before him. They did duel together at one
Mark
point.
Ingram.
Mark Ingram. They have a podcast together called Trust Levels, and they had him, and all they did was fucking toot his horn about how great he was and how legit. And he's like, they were talking about the battle between him and Lattimore, and he's like, we're just two straight dudes going at it. Like
Yeah,
we're just two guys going at it. We're just fiery guys. We just can't help ourselves.
yeah, they really don't, and I think there is some form of respect there for
Of course,
each
there is.
other.
You don't want to show it because
Right,
you're fucking
exactly. It's one of
rivals.
those, I'm gonna fuck you up, but good game. At the end of the day, the game. I guarantee you that they have probably DM'd each other or text each other later on down the line and said,
For
"Hey,
sure. I mean,
good game,
you got
man."
that handshake that you do or whatever. You go up to each other and go, "Yeah, man, fucking, you got me this week, but I'm fucking having you next week." That's
Exactly.
it.
That's the relationship, the dynamics they have, and like you said, they're both of them can let their emotions get the best of them
It
because
brings out the best of both of them because if you're Lattimore and you win the battle, you can. That's one wide receiver I chalked off today. And if you're Mike Evans, that's one DB I made look fucking foolish today. That's how the, but that it's Chad Johnson used to do the same. You seen the thing with the locker and he had all
yeah,
the names down.
yeah,
Did he cover me? No. You
no,
know
but
that.
but and I'm
But
glad
do you
you
think
brought,
he disrespects all those guys and he thinks that? I mean, he
yeah,
disrespects them to their face, as in like for the
yep,
cameras and all that shit. But deep down, he knows how fucking hard it is. And he even said, like, I've watched videos where Chad Johnson's turned around like, I'd fucking hate being a DB because it's fucking hard.
absolutely. And it's frustrating because if you make one mistake, that is the difference between you like making a stop and you doing this, and then that's a
Mm-hmm.
touchdown.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
You have to watch that, and then you got to turn around and look at your team, going, "Yeah, I done fucked up."
or even better, sometimes what if you have to make a tackle against a LeGarrette Blunt motherfucker and you were like 5'10", a buck 70, and a 240-pound 6'3" guy is coming at you in full speed, and you're the only one that's keeping him from going to the end
Mm-hmm.
zone.
Your last man. Yeah,
You're the
for sure,
last
for sure.
man, and
I say this to my DBs all the time, and if they're ever watching, being a DB is the toughest job because if it's an outside run, no one's looking at the front. Don't know why they should. Good DCs will look at the front, but when a running back's running at you, you're expected to make the tackle. And if you don't make the tackle, it's on you.
right,
Not the fact that contain was broken, not the fact that the linebackers didn't flow properly, not the fact that we allowed him to get to the DB level because you're a staying coverage guy. We're expecting you to make that fucking tackle, and you didn't. So therefore, the touchdown's your fault and not their fault, or the big gain is their
Yeah.
fault. If my DBs are making so many tackles, I'm now looking at my front going, why is this happening? And I'm going to do a little thing here. Shout out to Jordan Walsh, my cornerback, who gave up fucking 3 touchdowns in the last game. Gave up nothing. Didn't give up. Gave up 30 yards total all game. Nothing went over his head, and he went against a Team GB player, the Team Great Britain player.
Amen.
So,
See,
Jordan
shout out
Wells,
to you.
happy birthday, brother, young blood.
Now that's
Get
wonderful.
after it.
Now that's very wonderful. And yeah, and again, playing that position is super hard. It's a thinking game, not only, but yeah, if you miss that tackle, now then you got to worry about your boys in the locker room saying that dude, bitch, y'all. We could tell he loafed on that one. He wasn't trying to. He made a business decision, bitch. So it's hard. It is
I've
hard.
been there when I've had when I was DC. I had 2 corners. I got 2 rookie corners, and they could not tackle to save their lives. It was that bad, AJ, that I put pads on, went in, and fucking made tackles, and went right. I've just played fucking 2 halves of foot. I played a quarter of football. I've made 6 tackles. That's more than you two made in 3 games. That's the standard. Took my pads off, put my cap back on, and started fucking coaching.
That's look. That's how you gotta do it sometimes. Look, everybody, look, guys. You're not gonna be Deion Sanders. Those are once in a generational time. You might never see that again. Yes, Deion didn't have to make tackles, but he also ran 4.2 speed and he could cover the fuck out of everybody. Just be an all well round. Be Rondé Barber. Be Rondé. Be
Hey,
Rondé. Be like
if in
Rondé.
doubt, be Rondé.
Yeah, if you can't be Deion, be Rondé, because that's really more the reality that you're gonna have to be. Rondé wasn't the fastest, but damn sure was one of the smartest. It happens, guys. So I like that. But yeah, again, guys, Evans isn't going anywhere. Look at his stats. Mike Evans, shout out to you. You got 2 fans right here that we rock with you, man. We appreciate everything from the good, the bad, the worst, the ugly, and we're looking forward for you to being that guy. I know I believe that you're gonna finish when you're done with this game. You're gonna have the most consistent 1,000 yards. You will be in that Hall of Fame. I just see the greatness. You went through it with Josh McCown of the world. Mike Glennon. When I ask people about who Mike Glennon is, they don't even it's like they can't even tell me that. I'm like, exactly.
I actually liked Mike Glennon. That's the shocking thing. I remember back in the day. This is obviously pre. I was like, I remember the whole Josh McCown thing, and I remember Josh McCown was kind of brought over by Lovie Smith because he
Yes.
played a
In
stretch of game
Chicago.
very, very well
Mm-hmm.
for Lovie. So he was like, "Yeah, that's my quarterback." And I just remember fucking watching Josh McCown crying his fucking eyes out because he couldn't win a fucking game. So just fucking someone do me a favor and fucking start Mike Glennon because he was up before that because he had like a bit of a start. He had some starting experience. He wasn't terrible. He wasn't great, but it's like give this kid give the kid a chance because this other guy ain't getting it fucking done.
No. Glennon did win us that game with Vincent Jackson with the Steelers. I think the thing is what made me frustrated. I felt like Glennon was the quarterback where, like you said, give him a chance, but I think the defenses would have adjusted to him super
He
quick.
was so stoic, but he
Yes,
wasn't like with Tom Brady. He's not fast and he doesn't leave the pocket and he rarely leaves the pocket and what have you, but he's good with his feet, quick enough. He's got good quickness in the sense that he can buy time in the pocket. Whereas Mike Glennon was very just like, don't, don't,
yes,
don't.
right. He wasn't fluid. He was
There
literally
was no shit. This guy's step up, step down, step to the
no.
left, step to the
It
right,
was just and God help if he
sack
tried
or
and God help if he tried to run. Gosh, him and Brady, they should
I
race.
want. They should do a 40 race.
Yes, because when Glennon ran, I would be like,
Look like
God,
a fucking giraffe
yes. And
with that
then
long
God
neck.
forbid, I'm like, please don't let him get hit because he's a stick. If you hit him, he might
Like,
literally just fold. Yes. So that's what I'm saying. And then, like, just think about that. I know Evans got some funny stories later on down. Like man, bro, when you got in that field, you probably was like, "Oh God, he's throwing it to me." But hey, look, what quarterback did you have the most fun throwing it to? I feel like he's gonna say Jameis, because Jameis would just do the craziest shit and just launch that damn thing. And Evans, the best play is when Winston broke
I agree with that.
and he launched that shit. I remember the crowd. That was one of the greatest moments, because when Winston broke that shit, he ran all the way in the end zone. I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna get a fucking safety. He just stepped out, launched it.
That
The Bears game.
Bears game. And he's going back, turns left, turns right, comes back up, whoosh.
And then when Evans grabbed it, the entire stadium said, "Oh!" And here's the thing: I love when Winston, he said, "I was pissed," because he said my arm wasn't strong enough. Because if he throws it a little higher, that's a touchdown. Because the defender fell. Fell. If that was, man,
fucking thinking no one's gonna get the ball. Probably you probably checked out the play and went, the front's got their shit.
Right.
Oh, I'm gonna fucking cover someone.
Look, it was no Jameis. Yes, Jameis. When he launched that, and I saw Evans grab it, and that was a perfect catch. He just came down with it. I will never forget the stadium went, oh, because then I was like, oh, and then the very next play, Winston launched that shit and they scored a touchdown. I'm telling you, Evans got stories. I hope he comes out with
I reckon you say the wildness was with
Winston.
With Winston, Wild Winston days, and then and I wouldn't be surprised if that's the title of the chapter, Wild Winston.
Wow, right. And then of course the Brady is like the era where I'm sure Evans knew, oh shit, I'm about to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that'll be like the guy who got the most out of me. Or the guy who demanded the most out of me, so to speak.
And we don't know what this Baker Mayfield shit might be in store for us.
Isn't Baker from Texas?
I think he is. Yeah, I think Baker is from Texas.
Two Texan boys.
Right, and we never know. Again, Baker might bring out he might become the light-skinned Jameis. I hope not the Jameis of throwing picks, but he might fuck around and break tackles.
He's been referred to as
launch that shit. And then if he gets this team hyped, look, guys, the NFC is still wide the fuck open. The only two teams is Philly and San Fran. And San Fran is still a big question mark because we don't know who their quarterback is going to be. Hell, McCaffrey might be the quarterback by week 11. So it's not out of the realm. If Hurts, like on paper, we're saying the Eagles because of the draft and their defensive line, but their depth and offense is not that great. If AJ Brown goes down, I'm not sold on Devontae Free. I'm not sold on their other receiver. I'm not on Devontae Smith. I'm not sold. So, and if Hurts doesn't excel and be a pocket quarterback and he just plays a running back, that's gonna get him trashed in the playoffs. Because if our Kalijah Kansies of the world and our Yayas are in rare form and Shaq Barrett comes back and with the fire and Vita Vea is still healthy, look, we're not going to the Super Bowl, but Slick, if the Bucs found a way to get back to the promised land, look, I'll fly to British. I will fly there and we will be chilling, have a big ass pint of whatever will get me tore up over there. Just give me a room and I'll promise I'll be quiet.
Hey, you don't have to wait too long. I'm in Florida next year, so
my man, see, if we win this shit, I can't look. I'm telling you, the Bucs fans, your team is still stacked. And then look, imagine
offensively, defensively, it's not like I think to be. If someone said to me, "What's the biggest weakness of the Buccaneers?" I would probably say right now, left tackle.
Right.
And then if someone turned around to me and said, "What's the next weakness?" I'd say probably running back because I don't know what Rachaad White's going to be like as a starter yet. I believe that he can be the dude because he's shown the steps to get there,
right?
But I haven't actually seen it yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's still work in progress at this point.
Right.
Those are the only if the Buccaneers can get a solid run game, mm-hmm. and Baker plays to his 2020 level.
Yep.
This is a playoff team.
This is a playoff, and
and
it's a
and
dangerous
that
team.
defense stays as good as they have been in the last 3 years. Pick any one of those 3 years. It doesn't matter which one, but pick any one of those 3 years. The defense is good as one of those 3 years. Stick a good stick the good run game, and you get a 2020 Baker Mayfield. This team is in the playoffs, and they will probably win a playoff game, and they may struggle if depending on what seed. It's all down to seeds, isn't it? When it comes to that point, you end up being like a lower seed or what have you, and you end up going against a powerhouse. But if if you win the division, they got to come to you.
Exactly. And here's the thing: you just said it. There's only one powerhouse in the NFC, and that's the Eagles. I'm not
So
nobody
you were
else.
not going to meet the Eagles until way later.
Right, and that's the thing. We don't really. If the Bucs were in the AFC, then yes, I would definitely say, nah, we're going to be winning 7 to 8 games, and we'll be stronger the next season. But this is the fucking NFC. The NFC right now, the NFC is not going to be, to me, like a bigger threat until the next 3 years, because people are still going to they got to form, and they have look. So it's not out of the realm, Bucs fans. We're still in this thing. Again, we retooled, not rebuild. Do not allow the media to persuade you, oh, because Brady, because if you look at it, you're talking to people that talked about this. Again, go to Bucs reports in the aftermath after these games. We broke everything down on why it wasn't what it seemed. So imagine a refresh. And we just talked about the shitstorm that was happening in that locker room. Do you think Bowles is not gonna come in this season with the I'm not bullshitting y'all anymore? He's probably gonna be like, because Bowles knows this draft was meant for his job. They're gonna say, look, you
And
cannot.
another reason why we're not going to trade, another reason why none of these trades are going to happen,
Yep.
is because our head coach can't risk giving away good talent for a fucking draft pick he may never use.
That he might not even be here to use.
Exactly.
You guys got to realize, if this Bucs defense minus no
Bomb.
injuries, if they bomb and they fall like to like 15, 16, and this offense, let's say
With
the
5 games. Let's say we win 5 games.
yep.
He's probably on the chopping block.
Oh, he's again, and if that offense, let's say the offense gets to like 12 and the defense is like 18, they're gonna be like, Canals, you're the guy now. You are the guy.
Exactly, because you've flipped the offense, especially this Buccaneers team hasn't had a 1,000-yard rusher in a long since Doug Martin's last.
Yep, Doug, and that was 2015, guys.
2015.
So that's been 8 years. So you're right. Bowles knows, and I guarantee you, Bowles is gonna have a more no nonsense. And again, with Brady gone, the circus is gone. Nobody's gonna be watching the Bucs. So now Bowles has no excuse, because now it's like, hey, Bowles, you don't have the media pressure on you
Under
now.
radar.
So this defense better be good. This defense, but besides injuries, if there's injuries, we understand. But if there's no injuries, this is a top 5 defense, because now you got someone who can help Vita Vea. Now you have someone who can assist Antoine Winfield. Now you have the pass rushers to rotate. Now you have these pieces. So your move, I'm telling you, Devin White, I bet you when the season starts, it's going to be different, because Bowles is going to say, look, I'm not bullshitting. I got shit to do. You're not going to get, I bet you Bowles has said, you're not going to get me fired. If anything,
I think the conversation will be is, if you want to get signed somewhere else, you need to play the best football you're capable of. If you want to get signed here, you got to play the best football you're going to. So either way, you've got to play the best football, because someone will sign you, but you might not go to the team that you want to go to. You play your best football, realistically, all your options are open. So it's on you. Here's the ball. It's in your court. What are you going to do? Are you going to sink or are you going to swim?
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, that's a good.
Here's the way. Let's go for it. Yeah, he kicks ass. If he has a Levante day, let's say he turns around and gets 130 tackles, 13 tackles for a loss. I'm going with Levante numbers here. 3 interceptions and 3 or 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and 1 to 2 defensive touchdowns. Maybe let's go a little bit brutally crazy here and maybe add a safety in there, because they aren't impossible, but they do happen. It's usually linebackers and D linemen who get them. take it off the board. Fuck it. He has that kind of a season. And he doesn't want to be a Buck unless they tag him. He can go. He can pretty much go anywhere, providing they've got money, right? But the problem he's going to find is the big teams generally don't have a lot of money because they're already paying their quarterback.
Facts. Or they're paying their receivers, or they're paying somebody else. Again, you're right. Everything you just said was correct. It's like you want that bag and you want that prestige. You're gonna have to play good either way. And
you got a down year. It's on your resume. Look, hey, we already know what down years can do your resume. Ask Byron Leftwich.
Right. Yeah. And I don't mind if Devin plays his way out of Tampa. Hey, thank you for all the years, but now because he's not going to be the only one. I clearly can see Winfield ascending to top 3 safety. I can see Vita with help of Cansey making a bigger impact. I can see that. I can see this defense being really special now because now we have a lot of moving parts where we can, rotate. That's one thing that the Bucs have now. Yaya and all them, you have a rotation, and now it's just not on one person. JTS could slowly get better now. What if this helps him? What if this goes, oh shit?
At the end of the day, we should always see improvements from every single player. So some players, what's the word? Not produce, get better in different periods. So some players get it straight away, like they instantly become great.
Yep.
Some players it takes a season. Some players it takes 2. Some players it might take till all 4 years. You won't see it until their final year because adjusting to the NFL can be difficult. Something like everyone's different. Not everyone can just turn it. It doesn't mean they're not talented. Remind me who was I'm just trying to remember. I can't remember the wide receiver for the Rams.
Who of this era?
For the Rams, who got the catch that set them up for the field goal. I've forgotten his name. White guy.
You talking about Cooper Kupp?
Cooper Kupp. Who was Cooper Kupp when he got into the league?
Nobody. He was a 4th rounder with Chris Godwin in them.
Exactly. Second year, got a bit better.
Yeah, and then he
kept
ascending.
That's what I'm saying. So that's hopefully it might be that JTS this is the year, and that's what I'm hoping. Like Logan Hall, JTS, Luke Geteke, all these players that we've drafted. There's no reason they can't make a big stride forward for this year.
Agreed. I agree.
Did any of us see Robert Hainsey really playing center as well as he really actually did? Yes, he's not the commander. He's not the aggressor that
is. Yeah.
Exactly. But he didn't play bad. Like I think he was graded as like a mediocre, slightly above mediocre center, which ain't bad when you come from, let's face it, nothing. Like his name was nothing before that. So that he's got to be feeling pretty darn good because Pro Football Focus has named him as this, that, and the other player.
Well, yeah, and then they threw him, and then the circumstances. He didn't know what. And again, this is a rookie guy, so again, we can't give those players all the drama because again, the coaches that your job is to help your guys. Byron didn't do that, and I assure you that we know the line probably said, Brady, what the fuck? We when we are doing our job, you're just throwing the ball away. Give us
how much does that wreck your confidence?
Right, and it could also
our quarterback don't believe in us.
Right, exactly, and that can lead to resentment where Brady, you're not too big enough where they don't tune you out. They'll just go, okay, fuck him. He having an old midlife crisis. Let him do his thing because again,
you saw him screaming at people, dude. He was screaming at people, and they just didn't give a shit because they were just like, "We're tired of this." Like, where the fuck have you been?
Right, where have you been? Also, where's this fire? And then I feel like they've tuned the coaches out too because I could see when Byron would say shit, they just go, "Yeah, whatever, my man, whatever." Again, when the accountability went away, that's when, like you said, players just said, fuck it. I'm just here. I'll collect this check. We literally saw what we saw during the, unfortunately, Winston and Cutter and era. And that's what pissed me off. I'm like, no, we have a roster good enough. I don't want to see that era anymore. That was the Lost Ways. Now that's a movie for the Bucs, the Lost Ways of the Bucs from 2010, no 2011 to 2016, the Lost Ways. But yeah, no, I think this year this is going to be a humbling experience. I think I'm ready. I think once this draft class gets their first year under their wing, this Bucs team will be a team to be reckoned with the 24 to 25 season coming in. So that's my bet on it. But I know it's getting late over where you are. I'll cut it short. Man. But guys, that was another segment. Again, please catch us every Monday night. Bucs Report. The aftermath, 9:30. You see, we can literally talk about, we stretch Mike Evans for an hour and a half almost. That's how good we are, and that's how much we rock with this with Mike Evans. He's here to stay, Buck fans. He ain't going nowhere.
And you should never want him to go anywhere, because you will not replace him with whatever Kansas City or insert team's name it here. They will not give you something. You will need to fucking draft like a god to get a replacement for him. And then you can be started. Imagine how the Raiders feel about Khalil Mack. That could be us.
Yeah. That's a great example. I'm sure people are like, oh God,
until he doesn't produce, don't get rid of him.
Khalil Mack was the chick in the club that you thought was bad, and then when the lights came on, you went, oh damn. That's how that was. Khalil Mack was the hot chick at first, and then when them lights came on,
I mean, he's never been truly bad, but I think it was more the case they trade him away, and then they couldn't get a pass rush going, and then all of a sudden you got Gruden turning around going, well, pass rushes are really hard to get a hold of. I'm like, you fucking had one.
Yes, we did. So,
and what did they do with those draft picks? Nothing.
Not a damn thing. Just doo-doo.
And they got good picks. They got first rounders.
Yes, and it was doo-doo. Duds, guys. Remember, just because you get a first pick doesn't mean it's a good pick. Guys, look, in this case, the early bird in the NFL don't always catch the worm. You just it's like digging for gold. You have to just know where to go, and it's a case of luck. So, on that note,
and just watching it.
Exactly. And then you can always catch me when it's about bucking time. And then I got a lot of merchandise you can go to. Look, Skill and Will. And again, I'm always here. So, Buck fans, it's always a pleasure. We got Slick, the British guy who's always fly. Always a pleasure talking to you, man. I'll see you next week.
My bro host.
Yes, sir. Y'all take care of yourself, all right? Y'all come back now. Yep. Peace.